Good morning. Oh, thank you. Forgot there's a. Good morning. It is, I guess, 9:02 on the 24th. We have a special meeting. We're going to call to order. I guess we'll do the pledge and then start the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Okay, trustee White. Deputy Mayor Lopez and Mayor Levin.
Present, so we have a quorum. And.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any, you want, oh, I'm sorry, Sue, go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know why this is doing this today, but public comments on agenda items. Visitors are accorded a 4-minute opportunity to address the board on any agenda items. Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to address the board?
Is there anybody on Zoom, period?
Yes. Please raise your virtual hand if you do. Okay. Seeing no one. Village Board resolutions. Resolution approving 2024 cabaret license for the Ossining Elks Lodge, number 1486, 118 Croton Avenue, Ossining, New York. Whereas pursuant with chapters 100 and 171 of the Code of Ossining, of the Code of the Village of Ossining, code, the authorized representative of the business Ossining Elks Lodge, number 1486, 118 Croton Avenue, Ossining, New York, presented an application to the village clerk, the licensing officer, for a cabaret license. Whereas pursuant with sections 100-3 and 100-5 of the code, the village clerk caused an investigation to be said application after receiving the results of the investigation from the finance department, building department, and police department. The application was referred to the Board of Trustees for final approval. Whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application on January 17th, 2024, regular meeting hearing from Chief of Police Donahue and Corporation Counsel Kahan. Now herefore be it resolved that pursuant with the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the cabaret license for 2024 for the Ossining Elks Lodge, number 1486, where soft drinks, wine, and beer beverages, and any other alcohol beverage could be served as follows. Days and nights, Thursday through Saturday, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., Sunday, 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. Live DJ, patron music, and be it further resolved. Nope, sorry. Do I have a motion?
Okay. Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution approving cabaret license to Trifecta Cuisine Corp., also known as Carmel Lounge of Westchester, 175 Main Street, Ossining, New York, pursuant with the Chapter 11 and Chapter 171 of the Code of Ossining, Village of Ossining. The authorized representative of the business Trifecta Cuisine Corporation, DBA Carmel Lounge of Westchester, 175 Main Street, Ossining, New York, presented an application to the village clerk as licensing officer for a cabaret license. And whereas pursuant with the sections 100-3 and 100-5 of the code, the village clerk caused for an investigation into said application, and after receiving the results of the investigation from the finance department, building department, and police department, the application was referred to the Board of Trustees for final approval. And whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application at the January 17th, 2024 meeting, hearing from Chief of Police Donahue, Corporation Counsel Kahan, and the applicant's representative, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant with the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the cabaret license for 2024 for Trifecta Cuisine Corp., also DBA Carmel Lounge of Westchester, 175 Main Street, where soft drinks, wine, and beer beverages and other alcoholic beverages are to be served as follows. Daily hours, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 12 p.m. to 11 p.m., Thursday and Friday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Thursday and Sunday.
Excuse me, Thursday and Sunday, apologize. 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution approving the cabaret license for Ossining Rest LLC, DBA 3 Westerly Bar and Grill, 3 Westerly Road, Ossining, New York, whereas pursuant with chapter 100 of 171 of the Code of Village of Ossining, the authorized representative of the business Ossining Rest LLC DBA Westerly Bar and Grill, 3 Westerly Road, Ossining, New York, has presented an application to the village clerk as licensing clerk for the 2024 cabaret license, and whereas pursuant with the sections 100-3 and 100-5 of the code, the village clerk caused an investigation into said application. After receiving the results of the investigation from the finance department, building department, and police department, the application was referred to the Board of Trustees for approval. And whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application on January 24th, special meeting, hearing from Corporation Counsel, now for be resolved that pursuant with the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the 2024 cabaret license for Ossining Rest LLC DBA 3 Westerly Bar and Grill, serving soft drinks, wine, and beer beverages and other alcoholic beverages follows. Friday and Saturday, 12 p.m. to 1 a.m., Sunday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Recorded music only. Do I have a motion?
Second. Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Mayor, if I might,
Oh, sorry.
This one was not discussed, so the
Right.
resolution.
Which one?
specifically Says
The,
3 Westerly.
But they're, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out, it says the Board of Trustees reviewed it, so I just want to make,
Yeah.
I don't know if you folks want to ask any questions.
Are there any issues? I thought that there weren't, but are there any issues with Westerly?
With 3 Westerly, we've had no calls of concern there. We'll continue to monitor and make sure that it stays that way.
Right, and they've passed everything else. They have all their
But yeah, I just-
paperwork. Okay.
Since it says reviewed, I didn't want to.
No, I appreciate you pointing it out. While we're discussing it, first of all, we have a special meeting because we're not having a meeting tonight. We didn't want to hold everybody up another week till next week. We get all of these licenses in December and January because that's when they're due and everybody submits it. So this time of the year, we have lots of these requests. We don't like to hold people up. So we called a special meeting this morning. That's why you're hearing one after the other of those that followed all the regs, those that filled out all the applications completely, correctly, and within the line. And the chief of police always does comment on it. And I think as of 2 weeks ago, we added that the village manager is going to start also along with our attorney, because many of the complaint calls actually come to the village manager's office, and we are going to add those in as well, not only the ones to the police, so that we can manage both the inside of the bars and the outside of the bars, which they're also responsible for. So any issues with Westerly, to your knowledge? Okay, so
all in favor?
aye.
Resolution approving 2024 cabaret license for Ossining Here Coffee, Inc., 20 Main Street, Ossining, New York. Whereas pursuant with chapters 100 and 171 of the Code of the Village of Ossining, the authorized representative of the business Here Coffee, Inc., doing business as Here Coffee and Beer, 20 Main Street, Ossining, New York, presented an application to the village clerk and licensing officer for a cabaret license, and whereas pursuant with 100-3 and 100-5 of the code, the village clerk caused for an investigation of said application after receiving the results of the investigation from the finance department, building department, police department, and the application was referred to the Board of Trustees for final approval. And whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application on January 24th, 2024, special meeting hearing from Corporation Counsel. Now that therefore be it resolved that pursuant with the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the cabaret license for 2024. There will be an amended.
Yep.
2024 for Here Coffee to serve soft drinks, wine, beer, beverages as follows. Monday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. Up to 5 musical performers with professional sound equipment, and be it further resolved that as Here Coffee's current New York State Liquor Authority license expires July 31st, 2024, on or before the expiration date, Here Coffee will provide the village clerk licensing officer a New York State Liquor Authority license effective August 1st, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a question. Because I read another request, I thought it sounded like you need one when you include cider in there as well, which they do sell, like hard cider. Is that something that's required, or is that covered by beer?
No, the license deals with cider. What the quote here is explicit as to what's in our cabaret application.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Sue?
Any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution approving 2024 cabaret license for Sing Sing Kill Brewery LLC, 75 Spring Street, Austining, New York. Whereas pursuant with chapters 100 and 171 of the Code of the Village of Austining, the authorized representative of the business Sing Sing Kill Brewery LLC, 75 Spring Street, Austining, New York, presented an application to the village clerk and a licensing officer for a cabaret license. And whereas pursuant with sections 100-3 and 100-5 of the code, the village clerk caused an investigation to be into said application, and after receiving the results of the investigation from the finance department, building department, and police department, the application was referred to the Board of Trustees for final approval. And whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application on January 24th, 2024 special meeting, and now therefore be it resolved that pursuant with the code, the Board of Trustees hereby approves a cabaret license for 2024 for Sing Sing Kill Brewery as follows: Sunday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. midnight, Friday and Saturday, 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. Type of entertainment: live music, stand-up comedy, karaoke, etc. Maximum number of performers is 8. And be it further resolved that the cabaret license authorizes the business to serve soft drink, wine and beer beverages, and any other alcoholic beverages be it further resolved that the current license issued by New York State expires February 29th, 2024. Prior to that date, Sing Sing Kill Brewery will provide the village clerk with a liquor license that is effective March 1st, 2024. Do I have a motion? Second.
On the comments section, so I saw, Mr. Garrity's request that it be put on. So this looks like it covered everything in the email, or do I?
If I may, Mayor, the only thing that we'd like to weigh in on the police department is that first, this location has already been operating as a cabaret prior to this meeting today.
Mhm.
So without approval, they've already sort of gotten put the cart ahead of the horse and been operating as that business model. We also have had an occasional noise complaint at this location, and the owner seems to lean on local code that states that due to his zoning as village center, he's exempt from the residential zoning
Mhm.
codes and requires a certain decibel reading and requests to see the decibel reading from officers responding. I would like to clarify that one does not need to violate local code to get to be referred to New York State Liquor Authority. New York State Liquor Authority does not care about the village zoning. They care about people generating noise complaints and being good neighbors. So they don't care about the fact that technically this is in the village center. They care about the police responded and had to deal with a noise complaint.
Right.
We will continue to refer regardless of whether it violates local code, if it is found to be a substantiated noise complaint.
Right, so, is he on? I think, is Eric on? I can't see.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to bring him on? Huh? Okay, I just need to speak to one. I don't need a group. Yeah, can one of you please come over? Who- Raise your hand, please. Good. Eric, can you put your camera on, please? It won't? Oh, well, there he is, right there. Good morning.
Morning.
So you heard the resolution. We're in the middle of a vote, which I think is going to be approved, although I can't say it until it's done, but you have a quorum. So did you want to add, I saw your emails. Did you want to add something to this based on what the chief said? Do you need clarity on anything before we vote? Because this is voting. I do appreciate the chief's comment that you've been operating with out a proper license as a cabaret. Just a heads up that we don't look kindly on that, and we've had other scenarios where that's been the case and was reason for declination. But usually it's a reason for declination when in reality, when we have more than just that. In your case, it's just that one incident, so it doesn't raise to the bar that at least I can't speak for the whole board, but for me. But do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, to my understanding, all of the current cabaret applications have been operating as a cabaret since the beginning of the year. And we did file our paperwork within the requested time period.
Right, that's why we're voting in the positive for this, but I also want to make it clear that a couple of things while I have you and the owners. Number one, the chief, I think, explained our understanding as well. I would beg to differ with your opinion that everybody's been operating, not everybody. We've also declined a number of these licenses and refreshment license because there are increased complaints, not about your establishment, but in the general sense about establishments that are selling alcohol to the public. And so we try to be consistent across the board. And we do actually look at the height of the bar, so to speak, 1 or 2 infractions, whatever. But it is just a requirement that complaints be made. And I don't think that's always clear to people versus parties at people's homes where, you know, is a whole different scenario. So unless if you have any other questions, I know you guys are on there and it's probably early in the morning. We're in the middle of a vote and you know which way the vote is going. So
Mayor.
did you want to add anything to that?
May
Yeah.
I make one point because it is still open? And I understand what Mr. Garrity wrote. We don't have building department sign off because we do have the issue with regard to the fire and sprinkler. I understand the
Uh-huh.
understanding has been that it is run through the building,
Right.
not through the location. But we do have an application here. We do not have building department sign off. I just want that to be clear to the board when it's considering the vote here.
Right. So since you're so involved with the building department, do you have a solution here? I mean, it's hard for us to hold up a business because for 5 years, something's been done. We can't just drop on in January, like, listen, you're an exception just because the way your establishment's set up, especially when we don't have real issues here that we need to worry about to date. That may change, but to date. On the other hand, if you guys have rules that you want people to abide by, then we need to, they don't have to come up with a solution, we do. We have to say, okay, so going forward, this is what we're gonna do so we can pass you. Otherwise, we're having this exact same conversation next January with exactly the same folks.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning.
Good morning.
My understanding, and I'm sure Mr. Garrity will tell me if I get this wrong, is that there have been 2 inspections since the start of January. And in both cases, it was indicated to the person who was at the property, which I don't believe was Mr. Garrity, that this paperwork was still outstanding. I understand that there was a misunderstanding between the building department and between Sing Sing Kill Brewery about whether these systems are exclusive to the brewery. It appears as though there's still a question, but it seems more likely than not that they are for the entire building, which would make it not the onus of Sing Sing Kill Brewery
Right.
to prove that. I know that we got the contact information for the maintenance superintendent for the entire building yesterday. It's someone who is new-ish, so we don't have an ongoing relationship with that person as yet through the building department. So with that information, I mean, certainly it's up to the board. I don't know if Karen or the chief or Stuart feel differently, but you know, it sounds as though we're headed in the right direction here.
Okay, got it. So for next year, though, you're gonna memorialize this so we don't have this conversation again, and we're gonna figure out how to get this done, if in fact
Absolutely.
it's an
yes.
entire building, not the establishment. Did you want to say something? Oh.
One final thing I'd like to add.
Please.
Since we have Mr. Garrity on the line, as I understand, there's sort of a mixology event or something
Mhm.
planned for the location, and I don't.
For
believe
this
that-
weekend?
I think it's for tomorrow.
Yes.
I don't believe his current liquor license covers hard alcohol, so I would.
It does. It does.
Brewery license?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, we'll get clarity on that.
It has to be New York Farm Spirits.
I see. Okay, we'll get clarity on that, but, you know, as long as that's the case.
Yeah.
But I-
You know, I think that this conversation also occurred last year about the difference between a brewery, farm brewery, and I know it's complicated because there's so many pieces. Every establishment seems to have just something that's a little bit different in the way they do things. Maybe it's how they compete with one another, but it's hard to keep track of everything. I understand that, but I think we're so close to the line. It doesn't seem, again, if we had a lot of complaints, we'd be having a very different conversation about this. Do you want to say something? I see you. reaching
Yes,
for the mic.
I just want to really say this for the record.
I
don't
know,
mean to-
it
I don't
sounds
mean to
like we're
shout it,
yelling just because
but,
this thing is like so
But
weird
I
today.
do want to state that we try very, very hard to be consistent because that is really the basis of treating people equitably in the village. And when I came on as village manager, that was really one of the things that I fought hard to make sure that there was never any selective enforcement, impression of selective enforcement, and we continue to do that. It may be from time to time that things may change on our end, and we try to communicate those changes if there's a change in requirements as early as possible to businesses. We also try to work with businesses when we make those changes. In this case, I understand there was an issue in the determination of where the fire suppression systems were located in the building, but I just want Mr. Garrity and all businesses for the record to know if you're having a problem or you have a question, an easy solution is to email me or call me at the time that this is happening so that we can get on top of any misunderstandings that might be coming through on our part, even though we really do try to make sure that that information is as clear as possible. Sometimes things come up and change, but again, we're always here. We're very available and very responsive to those conversations. So we do encourage all businesses to reach out with any questions they may have so that we don't have to do things or hold up anybody's cabaret permit. I do also want to restate what the mayor said. We have denied cabaret privileges for businesses very recently that did not get the approvals in time. The reason we had this special meeting is because we don't want to perpetuate, because we understand that when you can't do an event and you run a local business, that's a direct hit on your bottom line. That said, we are going to work very hard to make sure that all the notices for applications are done much earlier in the year so we can make sure we can schedule all the inspections that are required much earlier. But at the end of the day, like everything else in government, the onus is on the owner. And we will work very hard to make sure that all of those things are communicated. But we would sincerely like to avoid having our building department waste time on unnecessary issues, as well as everything else, so that we can work as diligently and comprehensively as possible with the staff that we have.
Just if I may,
Thanks.
to piggyback off what the manager said, we are enforcing on the PD side all of the local and liquor laws uniformly. There have not been any cabarets operating without cabaret licenses. There have been a number of establishments that had to reschedule planned events and have acts show up at a later date because they were informed that it would not be tolerated that they were operating as a cabaret without licensing. So the suggestion that other businesses are doing it, so that's why I'm doing it, is just a falsehood.
Okay,
Mayor, may I
So,
just make one
I
statement?
just want to say something. First of all, when we run this meeting, chief, until you're called, no comments. Secondly, I like to run meetings without lots of back and forth and we're getting down a rabbit hole of back and forths. I don't want to do that. It's not just you. I want to have a conversation about the data and where we're heading. Where we're heading is that we have an increased number of people in our courtrooms who are overserved, a lot of drinking. It has increased over the 2 years since the pandemic. It is our job as government to manage all of that stuff. We will not cherry pick who gets managed one way and who gets managed another way. All we can do is we follow the law. We look at complaints from residents and other businesses. We use the same measuring stick across everybody. That's all we can do. We start cherry picking because you do this well and you have a different business. We go down a big bad rabbit hole. And that is not the intention of this board. That said, as we change things, we've learned we got to give more head notices. And to the manager's point, it's been this time of the year when all the paperwork has to be done for a very long time. That has not changed. So all the folks last year and this year that keep saying, well, I didn't know, I wasn't, it doesn't matter. It's been the same time for years now. You know when you have to get the stuff in. It is your responsibility. It's not a comment on Sing Sing Brewery. It's a comment on everybody. And we, as the manager said, actually all showed up here this morning to save 1 week for the people who need to do things this weekend so they don't lose their business. So I think from my perspective, everybody's doing exactly what they're supposed to, okay? And let it be known that this board is getting very involved in the fact that we want to make sure the businesses are run according to the law and according to the state licenses that they have. The liquor licenses are very difficult to get. There's a reason, and we're going to do the same thing about all the businesses. You have to follow the law. You do that, all is good, and we will bend over backward to make sure that your business runs the way it's supposed to from our help and our perspective. So is there any other comments that I need to hear about this? One more, Stuart? Okay, please,
Brief corrective comment.
please.
In all of our applications, we do require, in many cases, information from the landlord or property owner.
Okay,
This has always been the applicant's responsibility
Okay.
to get that. Not this board, the village has denied refreshment licenses or other applications where there are water bills outstanding, where there are where things are not. I point that out only because we're dealing with what's been said today as well, the building has the fire and smoke and alarm system. I want it to be very clear. This is the owner's responsibility. Same situation like we require a landlord's letter, which we get. It's if they had let us know that they have it, as the manager pointed out. But I don't want the impression to be left here that the building department didn't do what it was supposed to do. Because the fact of the matter is that if there was an issue with regard to getting approvals for your fire and sprinkler alarms, which clearly you have to know within a building like this, we don't have that. We still don't have it. And the problem with that is the board is, and it's the board's decision. But again, this falls on the applicant. It's the applicant's responsibility. And Mr. Garrity, he's gotten enough cabaret licenses from this village. So I just wanted to point it out that this is something we do with almost every application. We require the landlord, and if the landlord does not give the approval, we don't issue the license.
okay. So here's
Yeah.
what I would like to suggest, okay? You guys could argue with me about it, okay? I have a lot more energy in the morning than I do at night.
I love it. The
So,
vim and vigor.
Yeah.
Get it.
So here's, because we have lots of these pieces, and we went through a scenario last year, which I found totally distasteful, and how village staff was treated. And I think it is our job to be between staff, residents, businesses, and all that. I totally hear what you're saying. I get it. And I totally hear the next person down the line saying, you did it for them. Why didn't you do it for me? That's discriminatory. I totally hear that ringing in my ears. I get the protection as the attorney that you are providing for us and making sure we understand that. And I understand the chief's position as well, okay, in explaining things, because it's all being memorialized, recorded, and the next one coming down the pike that doesn't have the stuff is going to use this and say, why them and not us? I hear you. So to protect the village from that conversation, I would like the staff to memorialize the way we did with others, so that if we have this conversation next year, they will not be given a cabaret license. I mean, I'm okay for me and my one vote this year, but I will not be okay next year when this exact conversation The landlord has a responsibility. If they and their tenant don't communicate in time, that's not on the village's issue. That's on them to get things done on time, right? Like everything else. So we live our whole life on schedules, all of us. So, for me, I would like it memorialized so that if you have a change in the building department, if you have a change in the police department, if you have a change in your office, if you're not here that week and the village manager doesn't remember it, it will be memorialized. So everybody deserves like a shot. It's totally understandable. And yes, you're right. Sing Sing Kill has gotten many of these. They should know. They're not new to this game that they could say, I didn't know. And the landlord, that's their problem. You know, they have to get paperwork to the tenant. So you're seeing, you're okay with what's going on so that you know what the next steps are in this.
I know what the next steps are. I am hopeful that Mr. Garrity will help us to sort of move this along and get the substantiated proof we need to be able to close
Right,
with that.
because you're gonna have a problem if we vote yes today.
Correct.
And so we're putting the village staff in a terrible position because we're approving something based on somebody's word that if their word doesn't come through, makes us having made a decision poorly, correct? Okay. And I'm not the only one that needs to speak. I only get one vote. Everybody else can speak. I don't want to dominate the conversation. Oh, no, they have a mic right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say that, I'm gonna take the shot for me. With the hope that we have a business that we've known for years and that they will do the right thing, as actually they normally do. We don't have a record of any other behavior. I mean, we don't have to comment on everything, but if somebody wants to add, I'm happy to hear it. You're like going, yes, does that mean you're okay with it?
I agree with you. The only addition that I would add is that you named alcohol serving businesses in the village, particularly when people are consuming alcohol on premises as opposed to supermarkets or
Yes,
something like that. We're seeing an increase in, you mentioned in the courts with over serving and so forth. I would add to that, we're also seeing public health and safety issue in the last month, someone having lost their life walking home from Ossining to a northern community, someone having recently been hit by a vehicle that was also overserved. And so it's more than, it's in addition to what's happening in the courts, but it's also a public safety issue. That's partly why we also are having a special focus on what's happening in these institutions.
Okay. You're good? Okay, I understand, Eric, you have your hand raised. I'm not looking at the screen so much, but I'm told you do. Did you want to add something to the comments before we vote, or do you want to let us vote? Yeah, here's your hand up, so I don't know why I'm asking questions unless you're able to come over and then answer them. There he is. Okay, there we go. Sir?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to make the comment about the additional inspection. This is the first year that we've been asked to provide the sprinkler and fire alarm test. And after Mr. Groves left the note, I contacted the building and I've exchanged 4 emails with the building management, trying to get the village and the building manager to communicate about that specific information, and was told that the test was performed on the 18th, but I still have yet to get it. But the reason that it's been taking so long is not because we knew this was coming and we neglected to provide the information. This is the first time it's ever been requested of us in the 5 years.
Right, so I'm gonna end this conversation with the following. The attorney advised correctly. It doesn't matter whether you were asked or not. That is part of the requirement that you're obligated to know. The reason we understand your position is because that's why the board votes on it. It's not just done by paperwork. There's a reason why we sit here, and I say this all the time, because the human factor has to come in, right? And the human factor here says, you didn't really know because you didn't, well, I read your email. You didn't know because you weren't asked for it in advance. An attorney would argue it doesn't matter whether you asked for it in advance, you're supposed to know. Okay, ignorance is not part of the deal here. So will the chief. So there's like this back and forth, but we're the humans who sit here and say, what's a reasonable outcome? To me, the reasonable outcome is given your reputation that you do follow rules, that you make efforts to do everything the way you're supposed to. Yes, we have had a noise complaint. Hopefully, we will not have any more, that it increases. It doesn't matter, like, you know, some people will say, well, how could you do that? I would say because one is not the same as 300. Those kind of, that's why we're humans. That's why we're sitting here and we balance things. That is the point of actually having a board. Everybody gives their input. We do the output part, but I do think the staff wants to make it. It's a recorded meeting and they want to put it on the record so that when we have another conversation with somebody else or with you again, that it will be recorded, not I said, he said, she said. So I think we've covered all, and I think we're ready for the vote. Sue? Right. You're on? I think not.
I think I turned.
You turned it off. These mics are crazy.
I
today.
know. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for coming
Okay.
to the meeting, sir, and company and the rest of the folks.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry.
Second?
Okay, and Sue,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, 9:39, and we are adjourned. Our next meeting is on Wednesday. Bye.